Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today. I will say, I know educators, especially K-12 educators, may be hesitant to kind of sit in on this presentation and feel like it's not, may not be as applicable, but I do think hopefully you'll find that it is. What I want those people specifically to know about this is, you may have families who come to you. Who have students, have family members that have recently been incarcerated or don't know what their options are, or that they even have an opportunity to still receive an advanced education inside Alabama's prison system. And that's where Ingram State comes into play. So you may not be an employer, you may be. I think employers will really find this helpful. But even if you're not, I think this will help you be a resource to those people in your communities and in your schools who come to you with their hands up in the air saying, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, we're hurt, we had some bad decisions made, breaks didn't go our way, and now we have so and so incarcerated, and I don't know how I can help. Well, knowing this information will hopefully be a way that you can help so that they can have a productive opportunity still while they are incarcerated. So let me kind of tell you a little bit about myself real quick. I'm the Dean of Instruction at Ingram State Technical College. We are a fully accredited member of the Alabama Community College system. Almost nobody knows about us. If you don't have friends or family that are incarcerated, rarely do people know about us. I was actually telling May, people inside the community college system, they kind of know us as, quote, at best, that prison school, and they don't even really know what that entails. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to talk for a minute and kind of tell you what we do, what our mission is, how we serve the citizens of the state of Alabama. Because the other thing that we do come across when the people do find out about us, a lot of times the question is, why do we provide an education for people that have committed crimes in the state of Alabama? And you'll see with some of the statistics that we show the reasons for that, but it's actually an investment in the state of Alabama. Our goal and our mission straight completely is to develop responsible citizens. And statistically, the way you do that is to prepare people to be able to be employed when they get released from prison. They are much less likely to recidivate, meaning coming back to prison a second, third, or fourth time. And it does not cost anywhere near as much money to educate an incarcerated individual as it does to house them, feed them, clothe them, et cetera, for an extended period of time. So this is a long-term investment. And one of the stats that you will hear in this video that I'm about to show you to kind of kick things off is that 94% of Alabama's incarcerated individuals will be released back into the public. So what do you do with those people, right? If you do not train them and you do not educate them and you do not upscale their skills, they are much more likely to recidivate. And those people are going to be living next to me and you. And so I personally don't want to be a victim of a crime, but more on a more high level than that, I feel like it's a way to serve our fellow man and to give them opportunities that they may not have had when they made poor choices earlier in their life. So that's kind of our goal as a community college. And so I'm going to go ahead and start this video.
Since the mid-1960s, J.F. Ingram State Technical College has served as Alabama's sole correctional education provider, offering adult education, career technical programming, and soft skill training exclusively to incarcerated individuals in the Alabama prison system, and expanded to individuals under supervised release through the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles. Accredited by the Council on Occupational Education, Ingram State provides short-term and long-term certificates in 18 career technical education programs, ranging from auto body repair to welding.
Ingram State Technical College provides the opportunity for education for those that are incarcerated through Alabama's Department of Corrections and the Bureau of Pardons and Parole. No other state in the nation has an opportunity where there is a technical college inside the Department of Corrections fence and areas and facilities.
In addition to classroom and technical education, Ingram State provides soft skill training to include job interview preparation, workplace etiquette, managing finances, and more that provide wraparound services to an individual to best prepare them to enter society. Today, Ingram State provides correctional education services to students across 20 correctional institutions and 12 day reporting centers covering 20 Alabama counties.
When it comes to reentry, which is our primary function, whether it be on probation or parole, you have to tackle three things. One, addiction. Two, mental health. But three, job training. If you accomplish all three, what that means is you're going to have a greater chance of success with people who are on probation or parole. Ingram is hands down our most valuable partner because they provide so many of those skills. They're our primary supporter on job training. And when you hear not only from us, but also the private sector as to how much they've helped us accomplish our goals, it's truly a remarkable partnership.
With a partnership with the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles, Ingram State's partnerships extend beyond the prison walls. Through programs like the Prep Center in Uniontown, Alabama, in 2024, the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles reported achieving remarkable results. 0 graduates have reoffended, while only 15.8% of day reporting center graduates reoffended within 3 years of release, nearly less than half of the state's recidivism rate.
So I was asked to be on the advisory board. And I didn't realize the opportunities that folks who are incarcerated had with Ingram State. Now they know how to weld. Now they know how to plumb. Now they know how to do, all those different things. The way for folks to see that they can do something, that they have the opportunities to succeed, and that there's things out there for them to do to make them productive citizens.
Ingram State prioritizes education and job training to give individuals the best opportunity for success and lower the recidivism rate in Alabama. This approach not only transforms lives, but also strengthens Alabama's economy through correctional cost savings and by returning skilled workers who contribute meaningfully to their communities.
What's more cost effective to Alabamans as a taxpayer? Is it better to get that person trained so when they get out, they're a productive member of society and they're putting money back in the economy? Or they do nothing while they're there. They get back out, do something again, and now we have to pay for them again.
At the heart of the Ingram State mission is the innovative prison to workforce pipeline model built on 5 essential pillars: enroll, educate, engage, employ, and exit to the workforce.
From biggest thing change that we see in guys that are here that really love the experience of not knowing anything about welding, and then whenever they leave, they have the chance of knowing that they can accomplish something that they've done with their own hand. No matter what it is, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. And I tell guys here when they first start here too, if you get here and this is not for you, let's change it to something that we can enjoy.
All career technical programs offer short-term stackable certificates, which can be combined with general studies courses to earn the traditional long-term certificate. Along with their certificate of completion, students earn industry-recognized credentials that increase their marketability to future employers.
This program is geared toward them actually working in the shop, getting trained at Ingram, and then eventually becoming a full-time, full-fledged employee, benefits with a career. So if we want to be part of the solution, they're going to get out. If we don't give them hope and a path to something better, they're going to fall back into maybe bad habits.
The college actively engages students through hands-on apprenticeship opportunities and real-world live work projects that mirror actual workforce conditions. These apprenticeship programs connect classroom learning with practical application, ensuring students develop both technical skills and workplace readiness.
I was 17 when I first got arrested. I was living in the moment and not for the future. Prison did help me change my mindset a lot and get my priorities straight, and as well as school. That was my first step. Started at Ingram. I absolutely loved it. I wish I would have put as much into what I put in today in high school. Going back to the day that I got arrested, I could have never dreamed of where I am today. I'm married. Never thought I'd be married. I also never thought I'd have kids, and I have 3. I have a house, a car, an amazing job. I never thought I would be here.
The college's reentry division focuses on a student's transition back into society through housing, employment, and community integration services. Job placement coordinators help students prepare for release by assisting with essential documents like state IDs and birth certificates, connecting them with second chance employers, and providing resume building and interview preparation.
So I understand that some employers see hiring felons as a risk. But with our students, they have made the choice to go to school. They're not forced because they want to do something different in their life, right? And so they're regular people. They made a mistake and they've paid for those mistakes. And you'll see once you hire someone who graduated from an Ingram State program, they've made nothing but positive impact in the workforce.
According to Rand Corporation research, inmates who participate in correctional education programs are 43% less likely to return to prison, and they're 13% more likely to find employment after release. Every dollar spent on prison education is saving taxpayers $4 to $5 in reincarceration costs.
Well, we are a leader in correctional education, and 94% of Alabama's incarcerated population will be released at some point. We want them to have an opportunity to a high wage, high demand field where they can be employable.
Okay, y'all. Well, that is Ingram State in a nutshell. Hold on, let me get past that. I apologize. So to kind of show you who we are as a college and talk a little bit about our past, Ingram has always been around since around 1965. However, we used to only serve Central Alabama. If you see, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but you see down here in Elmore and Montgomery County, there's this large cluster of facilities, and that is because that's down close to the Capitol, and that's where the first prisons were built, and most of them were built. A lot of them were built on state land. If you know anything about correctional history, a lot of them were built on farmland so that the incarcerated individuals could work on the farms. And so as time went along and we decided that's not the best way to do things, the Alabama Community College system and at that time junior college system got involved, and that's how Ingram was created. So in 1965, we became an institution, a part of the community college system. And so we operated in central Alabama up until about 4 years ago. And that's why most people in the state of Alabama have not heard of us, because like most community colleges, we had a regional footprint. But then in 2022, Chancellor Jimmy Baker decided and y'all don't care to know all the details, but there were a lot of issues specifically with transfers of students from one facility or the incarcerated adults from one facility to the next. And it would create issues because we did have some sister institutions that served as other prisons were built in the 80s and 90s. Some other community colleges were kind of enacted in serving those institutions. So, for example, up in the Huntsville area, where you see Limestone Correctional, that was served by Calhoun Community College, and all the way down here in South Alabama, where you see in Escambia County Fountain Correctional Facility, that was served by a couple of different institutional names, but currently it's Coastal Alabama Community College. So those institutions serve some of the outer regions of those institutions, but there were issues with transfers and credits and things like that. And so in 2022, Chancellor Baker decided we need to fix this so that our folks already have too many barriers. There's no need for us to create our own institutional barriers too. So why don't we consolidate this all under one umbrella? Ingram State seems to understand how to work with incarcerated individuals, or the phrase, for those of you who are new to this, the hot phrase right now is justice involved, because it also includes people that are in the pardon and parole space. And so anyone that is justice involved, we work with, because we do work with both of those state agencies. So in 2022, we took over the entire state, and my job got immensely harder because I travel all over the state every day. And we do. Our home office, our main campus is down in a little town called Deatsville, right outside of Prattville, north of Montgomery. But we drive to Mobile, and we drive to Huntsville, and we drive to Tuscaloosa. If you notice over here in the far west part of the state, there is a thing called FCI Aliceville. That's actually a facility. Now, Ingram receives a state apportionment, and so an appropriation. And so we really serve the state entities, but we do receive a lot of state federal grants, and so we do offer other services or adjacent services based on certain grants. And one of them is we received a federal grant to help serve in the federal correctional facilities that are located in Alabama. Now, there are only two fenced facilities in the state of Alabama. You have FCI Oswald and Pickens, and then you have FCI Talladega in Talladega County. And then you have an unfenced facility down in Montgomery. And then you have a couple of small, what you would consider a work release, or they call RRCs. So we serve all of those. So on this map, you will see 32 facilities, all of which we do some kind of academic services. But on top of that, we have 4 other federal facilities that we serve. And then we have 2 or 3 county jails that we serve. So we actually have 39 different campuses where we have some kind of academic service that we provide. And my job is to kind of be the dean of instruction over all of those places. And we really have 2 divisions, a career tech division, and then we have an adult education division within the instructional arm. And so we do not offer degrees. We offer short-term and long-term training certificates, credentials. For those of you who may not be in the community college space, every community college has a technical division. Ingram State is one in several areas. So we are the last bastion of technical colleges in the community college system. We're the only one left, and that's because our mission is to train people to be job ready. And then if they want to decide to go on and receive a 2-year or 4-year degree, they go to one of our sister institutions after they release. But also, as you may have heard, our president, she's now our former president. We had a changeover in December. She transferred to another institution, and we now have an interim president, David Walters. But as you heard our former president mention in that video, we're the only institution like this in the entire country. And there's a lot of things that we sometimes get grief about in the state of Alabama regarding our educational system. Well, this is not one of them. And when you're in this space, and we go to national conferences, correctional education conferences across the nation in several different places, we're always the people want to come talk to because a lot of other states want to do what Alabama is currently doing, because in every other state you have an arm, the Department of Corrections, and then they try to get agreements with other 2-year and 4-year institutions so that they will come in to offer programming. And sometimes that's short term, for a few months. Sometimes it's for a few years, but there is not this intertwined connection where they constantly have programming going on. And that can create a lot of barriers for students. In the state of Alabama, we are a completely separate entity to the Department of Corrections and Pardon and Paroles. We are part of the community college system, but we serve every one of them. And we are a state appropriation in the state law. So it's required, whether they want to or not, it's required. But more states want to do what we do. And because of how we are set up, our students receive professional educational services, right? With career academicians like myself. And so we feel like that gives our students the best opportunity to thrive and survive on the outside. So just so you know, it's a very unique setup. And if you were to go to Mississippi or Georgia or Washington, they would not have this and would not even understand what we're talking about here. So anyway, that's Ingram State in a nutshell, and these are all the locations where we serve. So let me kind of move on. The other thing that we'll get to it. I'll wait till we get there. So we have our prison to workforce pipeline. This is really just kind of a snapshot of what we try to do with students from the time they are incarcerated into the state prison system until we know that they are out for release. And you don't need me to read the stats to you, but what I want you to understand is that we have a very robust job placement division. Now that doesn't, our college is really kind of divided into 3 branches. I'm over the instructional branch. Our student services branch holds our our job placement division. Reentry team is what you call it in the correctional system. But we have a job placement team, and several of you will probably understand or know about the workforce regions in the state of Alabama. Well, we have, because we're across the entire state, another one thing about Ingram is we do not have a county or 2 county footprint. Our footprint's the entire state. We have job placement coordinators that are located throughout the entire state in every workforce region. And their job is very simple. Go out and recruit opportunities for our students to be employed. And so that we do a lot of things under that umbrella, from taking people to job interviews, helping them build resumes, to give them interview practice. We have a private foundation that we have that actually people can donate to. We have a couple of fundraisers throughout the year, a golf tournament. We have an auction where our students make things in their trade program, and then we sell those so that money goes directly into our foundation. And that private foundation is operated by a separate board, and every dollar that goes into that foundation goes straight to our students in a couple of different ways. So we provide meals for our students a couple times a year. I was actually sat in on the food insecurity presentation before mine, which I had told May I had a great interest in, because that's one of the things that our students deal with on an hourly basis, not daily or weekly, but every hour of the day. They're thinking about food or trying to figure out where they're, how they can supplement the meals that they get nutritionally, et cetera. And so one of the ways that we try to take care of our students is we provide a couple of meals a year. We provide one in the spring, typically around spring break, because we know they're going to be out for a week. And then we also provide one for the 4th of July. And then we provide one around Christmas. And so, just to try to encourage them, thank them for coming to us, but also let them know that they're seen and that we know who they are, and want to treat them. The 2 words that I constantly use when I'm interviewing people that come to want to work at Ingram is dignity and grace. And I think we as society lack a lot of both of those. And we really want to treat our students as such, because when they are in their dorms, sometimes they don't feel like they have a lot of dignity. And so that's one of the biggest things that we try to focus on in our college. So to get back to the pipeline, a part of that building them up is to get them involved in a certain trade, which I'll get to in a minute. I'll tell you the different trades that we offer, but then give them opportunities while they're within that trade to actually get real world experience. You can't go outside and do OTJ. You can't do a lot of apprenticeship stuff. In our world, we do have a registered apprenticeship, which I'll talk about in a minute. But one of the other things that we do is we provide live work, or there is an agency inside the Department of Corrections called ACI, that stands for Alabama Correctional Industries. And that organization employs the incarcerated. And they actually do receive a wage. It's not what you and I would consider a living wage, but it is one that they can earn, pay, and work and use their skill set inside, so that they have job experience when they get ready to get out on the outside. And it does things to kind of help the correctional system sustain itself. So they make anything from hand soap and hand sanitizer to their own clothes, mattresses, furniture, office furniture, of which are some of the things that we help within our trades, like carpentry, cabinet making, welding, etc. So anyway, when they work around through to the end, that's when they get involved with our job placement team. And then we work typically 6 to 8 weeks before they are released from prison. Our job placement team gets together with them. They're required to have a home plan, so you know where they're going back to. Sometimes they go back home. A lot of times we discourage that, because that's where the problems took place, not inside their home, but in their home region. And we want them to kind of start fresh. And so we work with the Department of Corrections and those second chance employers to line up job interviews. Sometimes we do phone interviews prior to them getting out. We've done Zoom interviews with our students where we sit alongside them while they meet with an employer online to do a job interview when they're getting ready to get out. So we try to be flexible and navigate in that space so that the employers have options and our students have the best opportunity possible for them when they get out. Okay, so here are the technical programs that we offer. And there are several others you'll see in the next slide that we do what we call micro-credentials. But here are our accredited programs throughout the college. Some of them we offer in multiple places. Our most popular program is welding. It's also our most expensive, but it is popular because our folks know that they can make money in welding, and there are a ton of opportunities, especially along the Gulf. For those of you who may listen to or watch the news, or you pull up AL.com, I mean, just yesterday, and I think it was the Alabama Reporter, one of the ones that I get email blasts from. 2 days ago there was a big announcement that was made down on the Gulf about maritime shipbuilding, and three or four of our sister community colleges that has partnered with the U.S. Navy. And we have partnerships with Austal, with Ingalls, with Masterboat, several different shipbuilding areas down there, and that our students get jobs with. Now, some of those places they won't be able to get every job because of their background checks. When you a place like Austal, who has been a great partner for us, Austal and Ingalls, but they still have some uh, areas in their shipyard where our folks could not go because of the background check, because of security clearances. However, they do have first tier, second tier, third tier suppliers that our students work with. And there are some areas within their own company that our students can work in. And so welding is hugely popular. I know there was $1 billion facility that was opened up in the Shoals area, maybe not even a month ago. And the plan is to build parts up there and then stick them on the river and put it on boats on the river and then ship them down to Mobile that they'll then been added to. And so we feel like that our students can have a hand in all of those areas all throughout the state. So we offer, various programs all throughout the state. One of the most popular that we get asked about, well, there's two. Industrial maintenance, which is a credit program. When I say credit, I mean they have it's through our accrediting agency. So, and then we also have CDL, and because it's a short term, it doesn't go over the course of multiple semesters. It is considered non-credit, but we help our students get their CDL license, Class A and Class B. And so industrial maintenance and CDL are two of the ones that our companies are constantly asking us about. And if you have, again, families that have students that are, or brothers and sisters and sons and daughters that are incarcerated looking for opportunities, we have a host of things that they could get involved with. Whether they are in for a very short amount of time or for a longer period of time. We've got a lot of opportunities. And our students don't have to stick with just one program. After a year and a half and you receive your four credentials in a particular program, let's say welding, you can also always transition over into another one. So those are the opportunities that we provide for our folks. But on top of, and you can see our numbers, this is 24-25. We are just finishing up, obviously, our 25-26 school year. Think about it. Our academic year goes just like everybody else's. We have a fall semester, spring semester. The only difference is our summer semester is required for our students, and all of our employees work in the summer. It's not optional. And so we have a 3-semester academic year, and we offer short-term, what we call stackable credentials in each of those programs. And all of our programs are 4-semester, except our auto mechanics. That's actually a 5-semester program. And so all of our students get a credential each semester. And so at the end of those 4 semesters, they have received their CER and they are ready to go. Now, in the other area that we have, again, what we call non-credit, and I really am not a fan of that name because it sounds like it doesn't count. It just means it doesn't go over a 3-4 semester system. These are other things that we offer. And for those of you who are involved in the community college system, you know for sure the Innovation Center and the programs that are provided through Skills for Success. We have to navigate that space a little different because the students of ours that are inside the correctional prisons are not allowed to have internet access. And for anybody who doesn't know, the way the Innovation Center sets up their class, it's online theory classes first that you take. And then after you've done that online portion, then you have a day, a week, depending on what the class is, of hands-on training so that you get that micro credential in a bunch of areas. I think they have around 35 or 40 different ones that you can get trained in. These are the ones that we offer, and we can only offer them currently to our students that are in pardon and paroles because of that limitation, access to the internet. But we are working with Commissioner Ham and the Department of Corrections to try to pull down one of those barriers, which we think we've made some headway in. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to have Skills for Success for our incarcerated students. But you see some of the ones that we offer here. if you look on the right-hand side, more than just for our Skills for Success folks, we offer these credentials to all of our students. And that's why it says that up there. So every one of our students, they'll think about it like this. We talk about it as a scale. And when they're incarcerated, the scale is balanced against them. And so every credential that they can get helps balance that scale in their favor and hopefully tips it into their favor over time with all of the training, knowledge, skill set, ability to articulate what they want to do with their lives and for their families. All of that, those things, we hope tip the scale in their favor. So, forklift. Every one of our students get a forklift license, every one of them. So you can be a barber or a cosmetologist, you're still going to get a forklift license. And you may think, well, why in the world? Because we want our folks to get jobs. And Power doesn't care that you haven't gotten a barbering job yet. They want the power bill paid. And so we tell our students all the time, set yourself up for immediate success and then long-term success. And so you may not get that job in welding or in carpentry the day you walk out of prison, but you still got to pay the power bill. You still got to have a place to live and eat. And so get a job where you can get a job. And there are so many opportunities to drive a forklift, to work in a manufacturing area just to get started. And if you like it, stay. But if you don't, keep applying for that carpentry job, and eventually one will come along. And the skill set will still serve you, right? Like whether you want a part-time job or whether you need to be able to drive a forklift on a work site. I don't think you'll need to be driving a forklift in a barber shop. I haven't seen one yet, I'll say that. But as you can tell, I'm not big in the barber area anyway. So, but what we want is for our students to layer success with the different certificates and training modules that they can get. And so we do OSHA 10. All of our students get OSHA 10. Our construction trades receive NCCER credentials. Our logistics and manufacturing trades receive MSSC credentials. And so we have basically national credentials, state credentials that we provide, and then local credentials that our plumbers can test for their plumbers and gas fitters license, et cetera. So all of those things we offer to our students throughout the state of Alabama. This is, if you are an employer or you know an employer, this is the thing they want to know. And that is, it's additional risk for me to hire students that may have made poor choices in their life. So then what's the benefit to me? Other than just doing a service to my community, what's the benefit to me? And this is the thing that also, if you are in the high school space, I would tell your partners, right, that there is a tax credit for hiring folks that are in this space. And I think that tax credit, to some extent, if you have juvenile detention centers in your area, I think that tax credit partially extends into that area. I know for us, this tax credit, the work opportunity tax credit, is for any of our employers. And basically what it does, and the long and short of it is, for 90 days, you can hire one of our students or a formerly incarcerated student, and you can get up to $15 an hour reimbursed back to you. So let's say you've got a person that you want to hire for $30 an hour, but you're worried, I don't know if I really want to invest $30 an hour right now until I know and feel confident that that student's going to be everything that I want them to be. Well, that's okay. You can apply for this tax credit. And so then you're only investing $15 an hour, and the government supplements the other $15 an hour. And you have 90 days. And if any point in that 90 days, whether it's day 3, day 33, or day 93, you feel like it's not working out like you thought you could, you can release that employee just like you would any other employee. So it's not like you're beholden to those 90 days. They're just an employee, and this is just an incentive. So it's not a contract. It doesn't hold you or bind you. It just ensures that you can have the confidence to hire folks. And so after that 90 days, you decide to keep that person on. Well, then you just take on the full burden of that salary, which if they've worked for 3 months and you're happy, I'm sure what you want is somebody who can work. So that's what this opportunity provides for you. We have a lot of employers, as you see that number in the state of Alabama, looking to get in this space. And if you are not familiar with workforce, because when I was a y'all don't know all of my background, but I was a high school teacher and then a high school administrator before I got into higher ed and was a professor, and now a dean. But when I was in the high school space, I didn't know anything about workforce development. It wasn't what I had to worry about, right? I had to worry about the Alabama graduation exam, and I had to worry about the SATs and the ACT and all of those kinds of things. So if you're not familiar with the workforce space, I get it. But there are two statistics that you need to know. One of which is the unemployment rate, which is very low in Alabama, and that's a good thing. Typically, it's around 4 or 5%. It fluctuates. That's a good statistic. The bad statistic is our workforce participation rate. It's also low, and that's not a number you want low. You want that high. And so there's a lot of companies out there looking for workers because that space is struggling. And so we are an opportunity to fill that space. And that's really what I want people to understand about our students is that they can come in and fill those labor gaps that other employers are seeing right now. And it's all across the board in a lot of areas. And they can be confident in doing that. One thing that I neglected to mention earlier in the presentation that I'll talk about now is we also have a high school. Another one of one thing that Ingram State is, we have a high school division. We don't actually have a campus. They come to one of our college campuses. But if you are a student, say age 22 and under, or let's say it this way, if you are a high school age student and you've been incarcerated as an adult because of the crime that you committed, but you were also identified as special education and you had yet to receive your high school diploma up until your 22nd birthday, uh, we are still obligated to serve you. And so Ingram State has a high school division with credentialed high school instructors. We have case managers, we have social studies, math, English, teachers, science. So we offer the four core. We also offer a couple of extracurriculars. Um, excuse me, electives, not extracurriculars, electives. And so we have a high school. We have a director over our high school division. And so our students have that opportunity. So again, you may have students that you find out have made a poor choice. And usually if they are young and they are incarcerated as an adult, they've made a really bad choice. But that doesn't mean that we want to throw them away and that we don't want to provide for them. And Ingram State can be that opportunity. So if you have a family or you know a student who is in that situation, let me know. I've come across, in the 6 years I've been at Ingram now, I've come across 3 or 4 of my own former students as both a teacher and as an administrator. One day I was talking to our barbering instructor down in Fountain, and I go out and I'm just sitting in the barbering chair. He and I are sitting across the thing. We're kind of talking, getting some ideas of what things he wanted to do on the shop. And in comes a former student from a former high school that I worked at. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it's a good thing, bad thing, right? I was so glad to see him. I hated to see him in this environment, but I was also glad to see that he was looking to do something productive with his time. And we had a great conversation. And I check in on him every time I'm down in that facility now. And he has gone from being a recruited student to a graduate. Now he's a student aide. So think about an assistant to that instructor. And he's just thriving now. And he's going to have such a great opportunity when he gets out that he didn't have. And he came from a struggling home when he was growing up, and he was around a bunch of folks that he probably shouldn't have been around. That was his environment, and so I saw that all the time when I was in K-12, and so that's the opportunity that we can be. And so you may have students like that, and that's the kind of the gap that we want to fill. So I think that's a lot about Ingram, and I think we're getting close to time. Let me see if I can stop sharing my screen here. I do apologize. Is my screen stopped now, May? Am I good?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So if anybody has any questions for me or anything like that, I know that some of this may just be intriguing to you and interesting, and it may or may not relate to you. But I'm welcome to answer any questions or comments or anything like that that somebody may have.
Well, we had one in the chat from Eugene McCall, and I think you might have touched on it, but I just want to clarify for my understanding. So
Sure.
Eugene was asking if your program is mainly working with justice involved individuals and not necessarily the juvenile justice system. So when you're describing the high school division within Ingram, is that mostly for adults who haven't completed their high school diploma or and were eligible for certain services in high school, but now are beyond high school age that are getting back
Um,
into high school programs?
Yeah, no, it is
Okay.
for high school age
Okay.
students. Now the thing is, we are not involved in juvenile detention centers, so it's almost like think about juvenile detention is here, and then our students are here. So they have not been fully incarcerated, and so we don't serve them in the juvenile justice system or in the detention centers, et cetera, but only if they have been incarcerated as an adult, but they're still juvenile age is they come to our high school division. And now there and let me say this, they have to have been identified as special education, or they may have been in the middle of it because we have a psychometrist that we have on staff that can also test these students and work them through the process to see if they have been identified or could be identified and qualify as special education, and then they can enter into our high school. So there are high school age students that are not in our high school, and that's because they were not special ed. We're only required to serve and only serve those that were identified as special education. But after they age out at 22, then they can come to us in our career tech or adult education areas because we allow them to get their high school diploma GED in our adult ed area. So if they're over the age of 22 or 22 or older, then they can come into our adult ed space to get their high school diploma GED.
Eugene, if you have any follow-up questions to that, hopefully I was able to communicate your question clearly, but feel free to jump in.
Only reason I asked that question is because I'm down in Mobile area. Judge Lehman, part of the CPC, and they now have formed a committee about student success, and they're targeting X amount of community individuals now that are in that heading toward that
Yeah.
gateway, and we're trying to cut off that path to give them something better. My spectrum is on the other side. I get with the students before they get to this juncture, but
Yes, sir.
because we're a part of that student success committee, they're leaning more towards those that are already in trouble, that are causing trouble. I just wanted to see because it's a great. I never heard of Ingram. I'm from
Yeah.
Birmingham, so uh, but that doesn't mean that these students can't tie themselves in with what you got going on.
That's right.
Combat the
Yeah.
things that
Unfortunately, we're not a part of the pre-committal phase, right? Like the prevention phase, we are not there. We're not in that space. There are others that serve it. We're not one of them. But you're right. If we can head them off at the pass, and I will say this now, not in the juvenile space, but in the adult space, you saw in the video the Perry County facility that they mentioned in Uniontown, and that is kind of a pre-space for adults. There are two different options at that Perry County. We call it the Prep Center, and it's an acronym. You know, educators they love acronyms. But it's like a reentry education space. And so sometimes it's people that were incarcerated leveling down and they got to meet some qualifications before they get released. And it's kind of a transition space. But it's also an opportunity for judges to somebody that may have done something they weren't supposed to, but didn't feel like it was, man, I really don't want to put you behind the fence for 6 months or a year or something like that. Then they can commit them to the Perry County facility, go back in, get some job skill training. And it's think about it, there's two different groups that actually work in that space. So there's GEO. You may not have ever heard of GEO, but they're a private incarceration firm, and they serve in different prisons across the nation. And so GEO offers like social mental health development kind of classes, and then we offer the educational training. And so a student or a person, an adult who gets sent to the prep center is required to serve in both of those areas. So basically every other day. One day they're with GEO and they're doing mental health training, or they're doing substance abuse training, or something, cognitive behavior therapy, self-discipline stuff. And then the other day they're coming to us and they're getting job skill training, and they may be in welding or carpentry or electrical or whatever. And in that space, we have about 4 or 5 programs that are short certificated programs, but then we also offer those little micro credentials that we showed about with Skills for Success. So we offer skid steer and fiber optic installation and forklift training, that serve safe, so that maybe they can get a job in the food industry to write off. So we do offer those, and that is kind of a transition space, but only for adults. Anybody else?
Next time you're in Mobile,
Yes,
try to
sir.
try to get you to one of our
I,
meetings.
I would love to. I was actually down in Mobile just about a week ago, so I would love to.
I was curious for folks who are interested in pursuing the career tech side, is really the only barrier that they have that high school diploma or GED, and then if not, they're able to obtain that through your
Yeah,
program?
that's a great question and a point that I didn't make. Actually, no. There's a federal program called Ability to Benefit. Some of you may have heard of,
Mhm.
and so because of that, our students can take our career tech classes even if they don't have a high school diploma or GED. So that doesn't prevent them from it. What we tell our students is that if you are in that space, you also need to be in our adult ed classrooms. And so we use a different term. Everybody knows dual enrollment, high school students that are enrolled in college. We use the phrase or the term dual enrollment differently at our college. So if you're dually enrolled at Ingram, what it means is that you are an adult ed student as well as a career tech student. And so we just split your day. And some are in the morning, some are in the afternoon, but basically you do half day in adult ed, the other half day in your career tech track. And it may take you a little bit longer to finish. But then, the one when we talk, and we do college recruitment every semester. We go inside all of the prisons. We send out lists. They come to us. We recruit. We tell them what we offer. And in that conversation, the thing that I always tell them is the one commodity you have in prison is time. And so use that time productively. And now, if you are short time, then we will get you job ready. But if you've got 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, or more, and most of them do, then take the time to just focus on adult ed so that you get better at that and can read and can calculate and measure and do fractions, and then come over to us at the career tech side. And then you can take those skill set to be the best version of the welder that you need to be. But if you're short time, we can do both. And that's typically what we do. There was one other point that I was going to make earlier, and it has escaped me now. So I do apologize, but I'm sure it'll come to me as soon as everybody logs off.
Well, I'm curious because the video and you also mentioned how there's really no other state in the nation doing it like this. And what stuck out to me was also just the wraparound services provided. So I'm curious, as students are about to exit the program, and it talked about some housing support and some
Yeah.
other services. Are those things that are those services things y'all are sourcing from local organizations wherever the student is, or is that something that y'all have built out statewide to support your
Yeah, we're
students?
sourcing it out. No, we're not
Yeah.
in the housing
Yeah.
space, but I will tell you, talking about barriers, that is the largest barrier for every one of our students. You would think it's employment. It's not, because people need workers, and they want somebody. Oh, that's the other point I was going to make. And I'll help me go back to it, the self-discipline. I'll go back to it real quick. But it's not the employment issue as much as it is the housing. And a lot of the I hate to use the phrase halfway houses, but I think you'd understand what I mean when I say that. A lot of the opportunities for housing when guys get out, men and women get out, those are grant funded programs. Most of them are. And their grant requires that for a person to live there, they have to meet certain expectations of the grant, like any grant would, right? Well, sometimes those are competing interests with employment. And so I've got to be in this class from this time And even if it's an afternoon class, it may be a 4 o'clock class, but my job goes from 2 to 10 p.m. because I work in food service. And now I can't live in that space or I can't have that job. But the problem is I can't do both. I can do one or the other, but I can't do both. And so that's where the barrier really lies is in the housing area. And it's not the fault of the housing folks. They've got to survive and people aren't just throwing money their way, so they have to apply for these grants. But then those grants have requirements that sometimes prevent the full opportunity to employ. So we're not in that space, but we have a lot of partners in that space and several that are on our boards. We have two different boards, an advisory board and a foundation board for the private foundation I mentioned. And in both of those spaces, we have Shepherd's Fold out of Birmingham, not necessarily a housing ministry, but Hope Inspired Ministries, which works in that space a lot. They are all on our board. And so we work with a lot of different places. I should be able to name them off. That's not in my division, so I don't just have them all at the top of my head. But we do have partnerships with a lot. But that is the barrier that we typically see. Last thing I was going to say, I just want to encourage folks, a student that comes to Ingram has to stay out of any kind of disciplinary issue, both over in their housing unit as well as while they're with us. So when you've completed a 2-year program, that means you've not gotten in trouble. You've not gotten in trouble at any point in time for 6 months prior, as well as the length of time that you're with us. And if you're an aide, which means that you've come back and you're helping that instructor, you've also stayed out of trouble that entire time. We've got aides that's been with us for 2, 4, 6, 8 years. And so that means 10 years of living in that space, that difficulty, never having any kind of discipline referral or getting in any kind of trouble. So our graduates are incredibly self-disciplined. And that's what I want folks to know about our people is they have a perspective that you and I may not have had, and they understand the opportunity that they have. And so they're incredibly grateful and they're incredibly loyal employees to those that hire them.
I see another question in the chat from Dr. Turner. What is your hiring process for persons interested in working on one of your programs?
Awesome. So we post our jobs in 2 different places. We have a very robust website, ISTC for Ingram State Technical College, so istc.edu. And also all of our job opportunities are also posted at the community college system website, so accs.edu. And so they have a personnel link, and that posts every position throughout the entire community college. If you're looking to work for Ingram, and we have a lot of opportunities because we are statewide, we do post it on our website specifically that you can go look at too. And we're constantly hiring adult ed instructors, but we have 3 dean positions. We have multiple director positions, workforce, grant writing, student services, student support services, all of those kinds of things. So we have a ton of opportunities for anybody that's interested.